And as soon as I woke up, I remembered we start an hour earlier than we used to, and so I was a little frazzled. I did my morning prayer and meditation, I got okay. And then the outfit that I had planned to wear today, because I always think about that the night before, I couldn't find it. I still don't know where it is. Where can my clothes have gone, right? But I found this, so that's fine. But I got a little frazzled. And then I left about the time that I should have left, even though I woke up a little later than normal. And I'm watching my GPS. You know how it adjusts the estimated time of arrival? And it started out at 9:15. 9:17, 9:20, 9:27, 9:38, and it kept getting later and later and later. And finally, I was like, right?
Yep.
So it was one frazzle after another this morning. And the thought, as I'm watching the arrival time get later and later, the thought came to me that I love driving, and I say this all the time. I love driving, I don't mind traffic, unless I'm running late. And this thought hit me and said, why? And I thought, ooh, that's good. Let me share this with the community. Because in that moment of that question, why do I need to be frazzled if I'm running late? If I'm late, I'm late. Being upset, being frazzled is going to do nothing to my time, right? But it's going to make my inner experience more unpleasant. And this is the part of guidance that we don't always talk about. We are always divinely guided. Why? Because wherever we are, God is. Wherever we are in the midst of an infinite number of divine ideas. So in that moment, what divine idea was I clinging to? I was clinging to the idea of being stressed and frazzled because I was running late. And what would y'all think of me if I showed up late to my own speaking gig? That I was late. That's what you would think, right?
That you were stuck on 95.
I was stuck on 95. Y'all know I love you so much that I drive all the way down here from Montgomery County, Maryland.
Amen.
It's far. I don't know, 79 miles or something.
Oh.
So in that moment, even though I was not seeking guidance, it came to me. And I want to share with you why it came to me unrequested. Because I practice.
Right.
And this is what I want to invite each and every one of you to incorporate into your daily life. Practice seeking and receiving divine guidance. When we seek and receive divine guidance in everyday life, when it doesn't really matter, it will fall into our lap when we need it. Because we get more able, more skilled at perceiving it. Because it's there 24/7. But we don't always recognize it for what it is. Did you ever get just a little at the back of your mind about something? And you blow it off, and then something happens, and later you're like, gosh, I kind of had a little inkling about that.
Like the picture. Something in the back of your head.
Right. There's that little inkling there. 24/7, always around you, always available to you, always present. Has anyone ever felt like you were, you had no choices? I'm in a situation and I have no choices. That's the key. I don't like the choices. We always have choice. When we say we don't have any choices, it's because we don't like the consequences that are going to come with the choices we see in front of us. This is the perfect time to seek out divine guidance. So how do we do that? How do we practice, whether we're in everyday life or we're in those dire straits where we're just stuck and we think we have no choices? How do we practice seeking and then receiving and knowing when we received divine guidance? Where can I access the presence of God? Right here. That's where I access the presence of God. And I think this is why people feel that they are not divinely guided. Because deep down, we don't believe that God resides right here. Deep down, we don't believe we are expressions of all that is sacred. So you've all heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. And I don't like that because I don't like feeling fake. I don't like feeling fake. And some years ago, I came across a phrase that essentially has the same intention, but I really love it because it feels good. And that is act as if. Act as if. So if I were to act as if I believed the teachings I say I believe, if I were to act as if I believe I am an expression of God, if I were to act as if I am intricately part of the oneness, if I were to act as if, how would I act? When I need guidance, I would go right here. So here's my formula. This is what I do. And I'll admit, I did this to find my outfit this morning. Because I couldn't find what I had planned, and I am not a morning person. Many of you know that I am not a morning person. I don't have great cognitive function early in the morning. Like I can't come up with great ideas on my own. So I couldn't find the outfit that I was planning on wearing. And often what I do with my laundry is I don't just do my laundry and put it away. I do my laundry and then I put it in nice neat piles to put away later. Okay. Yeah. And this shirt is really it's kind of slippery. So I was a little frazzled and I'm sitting there and I just get heart-centered. That's step one. Get quiet, get heart-centered, focus inward. And the divine doesn't care if you use F-bombs, so I use those a lot. What the fruitcake am I going to wear today? Because I don't know what the weather's going to be. I had a plan. My plan, I can't find my clothes. And my intuition, my divine guidance, told me to look under my bed. Now, you might think that's a ridiculous place to find clean clothes. But when you put them in nice, neat piles, and one of them is slippery, and the nice, neat pile is at the foot of your bed, it ends up between the trunk and the bed. And this seems silly, right? It seems inconsequential. But in that moment, I needed guidance because I was starting to get worried about getting here and being dressed appropriately. My inner experience needed to shift. I have 100% confidence when I seek guidance, I will get it. And what I thought I was going to get was an image of an outfit that I own, that's in my closet that I could find. So when I got the idea, the divine idea, to look under my bed, I didn't question it. I thought it was funny. And I thought, oh wow, what am I going to find there? That's interesting. And I looked and I thought, oh, there it is. I've been looking for that for months. How many times do we receive guidance and we blow it off? Psh, I'm not going to find clothes or an appropriate outfit under my bed. That's ridiculous. That can't be right. Because my clothes are in my closet. How many times do we get guidance and we say, no, that can't be right? Because one, it's ridiculous, it's finding clothes under the bed. Two, it's going to bring its own consequences that we don't want to experience. Right? That's usually when I say no to my guidance, that's usually why. Well, my guidance is telling me to have a difficult conversation. I don't want the consequences of having a difficult conversation. But I've learned over the years that the consequences of not listening to my guidance are always worse than the consequences that come with following my guidance. So seeking and receiving divine guidance takes a level of courage. It takes a level of faith. We need to have the courage to say, whew, okay, I'm going to trust that and I'm going to go with that. So we have to get centered, right? We have to get centered, we have to go within, focus within. And we pose our question, whatever our question is. What the fruitcake am I going to wear today? Pretty inconsequential. Or what am I going to do about this toxic relationship? What am I going to do about the job that's making me sick because it's so stressful? What am I going to do about my financial situation because I'm in way over my head? What am I going to do about the situation I bit off more than I can chew and I can't meet up to the commitments I agreed to? What am I going to do about that? All of those things are of more consequence, right, of what shirt a person wears. But the process is the same. "24/7, all the time, we have access." So we get quiet, we get heart-centered, we go within, we pose our question, and we just listen. That was the hardest part for me. I used to feel as if I needed to tell God all the reasons why I can't get this guidance because that would be bad. So I need something other than what I knew my guidance was going to be, which tells me what? That my guidance was there all along, I just wasn't listening, right? I wanted a different answer. There's no need to explain your situation. All we need to do, because it's all in consciousness, right? All we need to do is hold our situation in our mind's eye. I like to actually visualize bringing my situation to my heart space. And that's my way of getting out of my own head, getting away from intellectualizing my situation, because I can think a situation to death, let me tell you. So that act of, I create the idea of my situation in my mind's eye, and I think of it as a substance, a tangible thing. I grab it in my mind's eye and I bring it into my heart. And I stop intellectualizing it, I stop thinking about it, and I just hold it. I just hold it in my heart space with the knowing that the guidance is there. I just need to hear it. I just need to have the courage to hear it. Years ago, I worked for a nonprofit. It wasn't a church, a different nonprofit, and I loved my job. I loved my job, and it had great benefits that came with it. And I was doing a meditation one day, and the idea popped into my head that my time at my job was done. And I did not like that answer. I wasn't even asking about my job, so I was a little irritated, a little ticked off. I'm like, you're not even paying attention to the topic at hand, right? Get with the program.
Oh my God.
So I purposefully did not listen to that. And I go to work, and work was great, and everybody at my work loved me, and that's part of the reason I liked my job. I mean, I'll admit it, right? So we had these clients, and some of them, you know, it was a nonprofit. They paid a lot of money to participate in these programs. Some of them felt entitled, and I was really good at dealing with those people. And this woman, we would now call it Karen, right? This woman came and told me like how terrible we were and everything, and it was terrible. And I was like, I hear that, wow, you must feel blah, blah, blah. And I validated her feelings. I did all the things that I learned about, you know, leadership and dealing with unruly customers, right? Through a long conversation, the truth of her issue came out. We dealt with it. She felt great. She said, "You're the best person I've ever worked with here. Thank you so much." And I walked away thinking, how can it be that I'm supposed to leave this? This is fabulous. I'm good here. People like me. And I like that. But it was, you know, it was like gnawing at the back of my mind. So I said, okay, let me go back, get centered, go to my heart space. And I just kept hearing, my time here is done. And I kept ignoring it. It was the first and only job I was ever fired from.
Whoa.
And not because of anything I did or didn't do. It was drama that had nothing to do with me. But it was a devastating experience. I took it very personally. But it was a great lesson for me in guidance. My guidance had been telling me for a long time, for months, that my time here was done. And when I made it clear that I wasn't going to listen, the universe supports me in everything I do, including leaving a job that I'm too afraid to leave. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't think it at the time. I thought of it, I was very much in a victim consciousness. I thought, it was very terrible, all these things happening to me. But now, looking back, I can see that was the universe supporting me in everything I did because I needed to leave that job.
Listen to the whisper, not the shout.
Listen to the whisper, not the shout.
Yep.
Yeah.
The white envelope instead of the red envelope.
What was that?
It's the white envelope.
The white envelope
the pink
instead of
envelope. The red.
Right. The white envelope, the pink envelope, the red envelope. So that was a good lesson for me. It took me a few years, actually, to learn the lesson. It took me a few years. My career was going down a certain path, and while it was going down that path, I kept telling myself, my friends, my universe, everything in my prayer time that I wanted to use my skills in the best way and serve the world in the best way I could. Guess what happened after I lost that job? I found my first Unity church.
Awesome.
Listening to our guidance is, I think, one of the most important spiritual practices we can work on. Now, some of my colleagues would gasp at that because prayer and meditation is like, in Unity, the big thing, right? Prayer and meditation. Yes, that's awesome and important. But if you want to test whether you believe the things that we say we believe, start seeking out and following guidance. No.
It's scary.
It is scary. It is scary. And this is where our faith, where our faith is going to, what's the phrase where the rubber hits the road? It is our job, you've heard me say this, everyone's purpose in life is the same. How it shows up for us is different. But our purpose in life is to know and live who and what we are. And if you can't trust your own intuition, you don't believe God is everywhere present, our first principle. You don't believe that you are an expression of the divine, our second principle. You don't believe that you create your own inner experience. Then there's prayer and meditation. And it's not enough to know and intellectually understand these principles. We must live them. And you're not doing that either. Being open to guidance, no matter what it is the ultimate act of faith, the ultimate spiritual practice. And this is why I invite people, practice with what you're going to wear for the day, because that is of no consequence. Unless you're me in the morning on a Sunday and have no idea what you're going to wear, it's going to bring such relief to know that you have the perfect outfit under your bed. We are afraid of living who and what we really are. We are afraid of the consequences that will come with living as who and what we really are. Practicing guidance, seeking, receiving, following guidance is a quick path to that end, living as who and what we really are. And as we practice with what am I going to wear today, we get better and we trust more. We're actually building a relationship of trust. Another lesson that I didn't really understand, it was a lesson for many years, was so I, like many people, experience mental health issues. I have a relationship with depression. And one of the things that, and I'm a social introvert, okay? I'm very introverted, but I love people. And when I'm depressed, one of the things that I really like to do is to get away from all the people I know and talk to strangers. So I didn't know that this is what I was doing, but I used to, well, I still do, but in the beginning I would go out, I'd get in my car and I'd just go somewhere. Sometimes I'd end up at Target, sometimes often I'd end up in a coffee shop. I'd end up somewhere. I'm using my intuition. I'm using my divine guidance, and I just end up somewhere. And 9 times out of 10, I would have a 1.5 to 2.5 hour conversation with a complete stranger about any number of things. I felt connected. I felt like I was contributing. I got my social need met. And after leaving the coffee shop or Target or whatever, I never had to talk to that person again.
That's right.
It wasn't until I was talking with my first Unity mentor about this, and he said, we were talking about divine guidance. I was thinking I didn't have any. And he said, how do you think you ended up at that Target? And I said, it was just random. He said, okay. How do you think you ended up walking down that aisle and striking up a conversation with that person? Or getting eye contact with that person, giving them permission to strike up a conversation with you? How do you think that happened? And then I was like, well, okay, that's a lot of coincidences. I don't believe that things are meant to be. I believe things are as they are meant to be. So not in a preordained kind of way, but more in it has to unfold this way because of divine order. Again, not as a preordained thing, but everything starts in mind. Everything is an idea, and then it is brought into manifestation. Everything we are creating today will come in our consciousness, will come into manifestation tomorrow. Where we are today is because of where we've been in consciousness, right? And so guidance is our key, is our tool, is our direct access to shifting whatever we want to shift in the moment. The stronger we are in our skill of asking, hearing, following through guidance, old school religion would call this obedience. Obey God. Right? The more skilled we are in hearing and following through that, the quicker it happens. I feel I'm very skilled in guidance, in the practice of guidance. So when I sit down and say, what the fruitcake am I going to wear? I get the answer right then and there, and I know it's the right answer. Even if it says, look under the bed, and that sounds ridiculous. I don't keep anything under my bed. Because when I sleep, I wonder about the boxes under my bed. So I have nothing under there. I know it's silly. It's silly.
It's good storage.
But if I wasn't well practiced and didn't have faith, I would say, well, that obviously can't be the right answer. Let me sit here longer. And I might get a different answer. But the quick, right answer is right there for us. How many of you have something in your life that you could use some guidance on? Yeah, so most of us, right? So that's what we're going to do in our meditation today. We're going to just do a seeking guidance exercise. All right? So first, we need to just think about our life situation. And if it involves another person, bring that person's image into your mind's eye. And see if you can get an emotive feeling about what it is. So maybe if it's a relationship and there's angst and anger, try to muster that up a little bit. Yeah, we're going into meditation, mustering up anger. Yeah, it's a thing. Or if you know, gosh, should I go left or should I go right? Should I make this decision or that decision? And it's just this unknown, scary. Allow that to come up. Feel that. Because we're asking for guidance, not like a textbook, what's the right answer, but we're trying to shift consciousness away from whatever the unknown is, whatever the angst is, whatever the thing is, into manifesting our next great thing, our next great outfit, right? Or leave the job so you can move into your next great career. So bring that to mind, whatever that thing is for you. Bring that to mind. And then we close our eyes and focus on our heart space. Acknowledge and embrace that indwelling Christ presence. Acknowledge it. That at the core of your being, you are sacred. Embrace that knowing. At the core of your being, you are connected to all that is, including the realm of infinite divine ideas. And let's imagine our life situation, maybe as an image of a person or a bubble. Maybe like an old cartoon, you have a thought bubble above your head containing the imagery. Whatever you can think of to encapsulate your life situation. Imagine in your mind's eye taking this thought bubble, this idea, this image, out of the realm of thought and into your heart space. No need to think about it anymore. Just holding it in your heart space. Imagine, sense, and feel that indwelling Christ presence, the core of who and what you are, embracing this life situation. God, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? And we'll hold that for a few moments in silence. What is mine to do? If nothing came to invite you to do this exercise again, allowing more time to just sit, holding that situation in your heart space. The answer of what will serve you best to live your best life is always available. And we just muster up that attitude of gratitude for the opportunity to come together this morning, celebrate who and what we really are, and taking the steps to live as if we are each expressions of God, here to do what is ours to do, whether that be an example for others, helping others, we are grateful for the opportunity to live through the challenges, through the joys, and live as living, breathing Christs. And so it is. Amen.